And here we are. Quite a day with Eric Swalwell resigning and Tony Gonzales, Republican that represents a chunk of San Antonio, a large chunk of San Antonio, where I was filling in this morning. Their resignation, the accusers, I've got lots of video. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to play it and such like that. But and I have a lot to say about Tony Gonzales. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. Also, I have the Fort Worth bishop is now going after Trump after the Trump and the Pope have been going after each other. And also the Trump Jesus meme is still controversial and rally gains and back and forth. We have the Athena Strand murder trial. Pray the killer, the murderer who admitted to killing her, is put in the ground. We have the Savannah Hernandez, Turning Point USA journalist who interviewed me in her latest 30-minute special where she came here and talked about the Islamization of DFW, etc. Her being attacked in Minneapolis by thugs. There's some serious fallout for the daughter who assaulted her as well. We'll tell you all about that. And Iran. I have a lot to say about Iran. All that's coming up in just one moment. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin, the CPA, who is IRSprob.com, and I just texting back and forth a little earlier. He is late night right now with the client, always caring for you and serving you. If you want a tax planner or a good accountancy firm to help you with IRS problems, he is your guy. Okay, Swalwell. Eric Swalwell. Everybody in the universe with the Democrats knew that he was doing these things, but they all kept quiet because he served a purpose. I like the theory that he was their attack dog and did all the dirty work for them, so they kept quiet. They all knew. In fact, look at this. One of the young women who was 21 at the time saying he raped me, he choked me. Oh, that's the fifth accuser, excuse me. But one of the young ladies said that she was warned about. She was 21 as working for him as an intern or a page or something of that nature. She was warned about Swalwell through a whisper network years ago when she was working on Capitol Hill, telling CBS News that people told her, stay away from Swalwell. Do not engage with him on social media. Do not be alone with him. They all knew, but they covered up for him. Now, this is something that's very, very telling from Stephen L. Miller on social media this afternoon on X. This piece was published a day before the CNN Swalwell story broke. Here's the piece right here. Recent polls show a large pack of Democrat candidates trailing two Republican candidates in the gubernatorial primary scheduled for June. Under California's voting system, the top two vote-getters in the primary will proceed to a general election in November, no matter how or what party they're from. If the primary were held today, this is, again, one day before CNN did their story. If the primary were held today, according to the most recent polling, that would mean two Republican candidates. It's called a jungle primary, meaning everybody and their brother from every party is going up against each other. If the primary were held today, according to the most recent polling, that would mean two Republican candidates, each polling at just 14% of the primary vote, battling it out for the governor's office in the fall. A lot could change before the primary day, but the Democrat Party is increasingly nervous. So, the reason why they sunk Swalwell is because he couldn't win the gubernatorial election. The reason why they sunk Swalwell is because two Republicans were in the lead in the polling and therefore would become the two candidates running against each other, Republican or Republican. That's why they took him out. Pardon me. Now, before I play video, some of the video you've seen, some of it you haven't, that's come out tonight. Anna Paulina Luna, congresswoman from Florida, was on Jesse Waters, and she actually says that there's video, new video that she has, that may involve a minor. I heard 15 years of age is the possible number, with Eric Swalwell. And I'll show you some of the videos. There's just some vile stuff that's already out there with him and women on a bed. It's just unbelievable. Ruben Gallego, I fill in Phoenix a lot. I'll be filling in where Phoenix, of course, Arizona is where U.S. Senator Ruben Gallego is from. I will be filling in again on Monday in Phoenix. By the way, I'll be on in Des Moines on Thursday and Friday as well. But Ruben Gallego was besties with Swalwell. He went on that Qatar trip where they were bare-chested on camels, and there's speculation that he could be the guy in that video where Swalwell is kissing a woman on a bed and then laying back with her and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised, but we don't know. Anna Paulina Luna said this today: "I'm being told there will be more disgusting stuff coming out on Swalwell in the next 24 hours. For the members of Congress who are concerned about optics on expelling Swalwell, I think after the information drops, you will be thinking otherwise. Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about who was filming the video of the female sex worker?" Wow. This guy was an open pig. An open pig, an open sexual harasser, apparently, and open pig. And yet he was allowed by the Democrat Party to say all sorts of things that are massively hypocritical, and they all knew. Now, I'm going to go to something else real fast. This is from Fox News. National Women's Defense League demands reforms after resignations of Swalwell and Gonzales. And I'll get to Gonzales in a minute. I have a lot to say about him. While criminal investigations on potential civil actions are ahead, the National Women's Defense League says, without the passage of policy reforms, these problems will persist. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Without reforms being passed, these problems will persist. You will always have male pigs. You will always have men who violate women. You will always have men who use their power to sexually harass and or rape women. You will always have that. No policy will stop it. This is the stupidest story I've ever seen in my life. The stupidest quote from a group. I don't know if the National Women's Defense League is conservative or not. I don't care. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Oh, we can pass reforms and we'll stop men from being pigs and assaulting women. Stupidest thing in the world. Absolute stupidest thing in the world. These videos, this is from Alex Brusewitz. These videos are years old, which raises a question. Some of these videos with Swalwell and women, apparently. How long has Eric Swalwell been sexually blackmailed? This is an extremely serious national security concern, given that he sits on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Did he share classified information with any foreigners during his drunken escapades overseas? I hope the Democrat Department of Justice launches a thorough and immediate investigation. Now, yesterday, if you saw my podcast, you saw me spend an hour with a retired CIA agent who won the highest award with the CIA, personally from George Tenet, who said incredible things about him. He took down the AQ-Khan network, a Pakistani scientist that was selling nuclear secrets and how to make a nuclear bomb and how to enrich uranium he sold it to Iran, and he also sold it to Gaddafi. The CIA agent I had on last night took that network down, won the highest award from the CIA. He was on with me last night, and I asked him about Swalwell, and I asked him about, really in particular, I asked him about how do you recruit spies? And he says, Chris, I was a rock climber. Now he's retired, so he's not a rock climber anymore. I was a rock climber, and you look for the cracks on the rocks. And he said, Chris, that's what we do to recruit spies. We look for the cracks in the rocks. He says, I worked a guy for 9.5 years, almost 10 years, and took him out to dinner one time to make sure he wasn't telling people about me, to out me as a spy. And he says he met with him, and after that dinner, about a week later, he called him and said, after 9.5 to 10 years of courting him to become a spy, he called him back a week later and said, okay, I'm ready. What do I have to do? And it was because he had marital troubles. It was because, this is other examples, gambling habits. They call you, and they're ready to take the money and become a spy when they have personal things that come up that they want to fix, want to solve. You look for the cracks in these folks. And Eric Swalwell is nothing but one big, massive crack. In fact, as we know, Fang Feng, the Chinese spy, bedded down with him and even placed an intern in his office to spy on him. She, last time I recall, she fled the United States and went back to China as a Chinese spy before she could be arrested and charged, which they did draw up charges against her. This guy has been compromised since day one. This guy is a sick pig he's even sicker by going out publicly and saying, believe all women, and, I'll play you the quotes in a second. It's a disgrace and a joke. Let me do that now, actually, because then we'll get to Tony Gonzales. I have a lot to say about him. The former congressman from Texas, South Texas. Let's play one of the biggest things that kicked this all off. Was CBS, 3 women coming out and saying that Swalwell assaulted them, violated them, raped them, harassed them, you name it.
The fact that he has now dropped out of the governor's race and resigned from Congress, is that justice in your view?
No, it's just the beginning. It's just the very beginning. And I know personally that we're not walking away from this fight.
For me, justice won't be until he can't ever harm a woman ever again, and he has faced the consequences for the women that he has harmed.
I think in regards to the governor's race, he never should have ran for governor to begin with, knowing the kind of history and receipts that are out there. So that's a non-starter. And then in terms of Congress, I think he absolutely should have resigned. I think we just prevented another 30 to 40 years potentially of him harming people if he were to stay in Congress.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think we have served justice for his future victims.
Wow.
That won't exist anymore.
This whole story was in the can. This whole story was ready to come out on the day that they were told to drop the story. That's what this all was, all coordinated. I'm not accusing these ladies perhaps of being part of it. Maybe they were from the Democrat Party. I don't know. But this whole thing and all these stories suddenly coming out all within 24 hours of each other, this whole thing was rigged. And it was to get Swalwell out, not of Congress, but to get him out as the gubernatorial race for the Democrats, since he could not be in the top 2 among the people polling and win. They took him out, and they had everything ready in the queue. They just waited. Keep doing whatever you want to do. One day we'll take you out if we need to. In the meantime, you're our attack dog, so we'll keep you in there. Here is Swalwell. This is the height of, this is in February, a couple months ago. Here he is in the height of his arrogance and hypocrisy.
Colleagues do not trust women. You don't trust women. Do you all ever talk to women? They deserve better.
Let me pause and go back, because he talks about Republicans don't trust women. Here you go.
My Republican colleagues do not trust women. You don't trust women. Do you all ever talk to women? They deserve better. Trust women, my friends. Trust women. They will get it right.
Wow. Trust women, they will get it right. Is that when you're drugging them and raping them according to the allegations? Is that when you're forcing yourself on them according to allegations? Here's the woman who came out today. She's the 5th accuser. She held a press conference in Los Angeles, software company owner. And I really do believe her very much so. Some people on his side were attacking her credibility and stuff. I don't see why any woman would come out. The women that were in that CBS interview that I played for you, they said they've had like 30 women reach out to them since then, and I believe it. Let's play this for this press conference, this riveting press conference earlier today.
On the 3rd occasion, I believe he drugged my drink. I only had 1 glass of wine. We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated, and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died. I did not consent to any sexual activity. Although I did not undergo a rape kit at the time, I disclosed the assault to the people closest to me. I also recorded these events in my handwritten calendar. The assault and its impact were later documented during my therapy sessions at a sexual assault center in Connecticut. It had a profound impact on my mental health. I self-medicated in an unhealthy way. I did not want to live anymore. I cried all the time for years. At the time, I was in a dating relationship with a boyfriend I was fully committed to. I've never cheated in my life, and I would never have engaged in a consensual sexual encounter with Eric Swalwell.
So contrary to Swalwell saying, believe all women, and do you ever talk to women? Look at me, how awesome I am. Women love me and I love them. It turns out he's the exact opposite. He's destroying the lives of women everywhere he goes. This is not over and done with him. This is just one of many, many, many people that will continue to come out and violate women like this guy. Again, going back to what really bothers me today from the National Women's Defense League saying, without the passage of any policy reforms, these problems will persist. You're telling me that male pigs and rapists can be stopped by policy? It's like telling me murderers can be stopped by policy or child molesters can be stopped by policies. It's the most naive and stupid thing I've ever heard. When Nancy Pelosi wants it to come out, when the Democrats want it to come out, they'll let it come out. Until then, all's good. Let me do Tony Gonzales. Oh, here's Ruben Gallego on the hot seat. Here's one more I wanted to play for you. This is Ruben Gallego, and he is the bestie, or was until today, the bestie of Eric Swalwell, the senator from Arizona, saying that he had no idea that Swalwell led a double life, that somehow his best friend couldn't figure out his double life. Really? Nobody believes that. But listen to this closely, because Gallego lies here. And I'll tell you why in a second.
No, thank you. You mentioned lies and rumors when you first came out to talk to us. Have you ever engaged in any inappropriate sexual misconduct or behavior toward your staff, other women outside of your marriage?
No.
I want to get back to...
Okay, that's not true. I'll play it again here.
No, thank you. You mentioned lies and rumors when you first came out to talk to us. Have you ever engaged in any inappropriate sexual misconduct or behavior toward your staff, other women outside of your marriage?
No.
Well, he reportedly left his wife, who was pregnant, for a mistress. So engaging outside of marital, engaging in infidelity outside of your marriage, the answer would be yes, according to reports. So we also have this, Tony Gonzales. The one thing, oh, by the way, Swalwell very well could lose his law license, according to George Washington law professor Jonathan Turley, who's also, of course, a Fox News contributor. He says Swalwell may not have his law degree to fall back on. If these rape and sexual harassment claims are established, he's likely to face disbarment demands, which would make sense. Let's see. Arm-aged says correct. Arm-aged Don says correct. And I agree with you, and thank you for that. Here we go. This is from Tony Gonzales, though. I cannot emphasize this enough. And I showed you the picture on this podcast before when Tony Gonzales was in the news a lot. As I mentioned, I was filling in San Antonio this morning on a radio station. They're talking about Tony Gonzales. And the woman who lit herself on fire that he had an affair with, her house. If you see that picture of her house that I've shown you, that her and her husband lived in with their one child, you see a house that is tiny. You see a house that is, a very, very, very small and very modest looking house. You see a car that's old. It's probably 12 years old. I don't know. And you see no garage. You see behind the fence, you see it's not a tarp, but it's like a sun something or other. It's like a stretched out canvas or something. They had very little means. Tony Gonzales has a lot of means. They had very little, if any, power. Tony Gonzales had a tremendous amount of power. And it doesn't matter what people won't say, that she was mentally disturbed and her husband may have been, with other men or something like that. None of that matters because Tony Gonzales had all the power in that relationship. Tony Gonzales does not drive a crappy car, live in a tiny house in Uvalde, which is probably worth 1/5 or 1/7 or 1/8 of our homes here in DFW. He bedded down with an subordinate, which is against the laws in Congress. He used his position and power to find women to go after, to prey, like Eric Swalwell, but perhaps not as bad as Eric Swalwell, but the forced stuff. Tony Gonzales, then we also have this, that in 2020, another story comes out that he did the same thing with another woman in 2020, who was also a staffer from Ken's, which is the TV station, KSAT in San Antonio, television station. New text messages surfaced, which Tony Gonzales and a staffer from his 2020 campaign. Those messages came after the GOP representative admitted to sending texts and having an affair with another staffer in 2024. The San Antonio Express News, which I call the Excuse News, reported that new text messages allegedly asked a staffer for nude photos and attempted to start a sexual relationship with her. Tony Gonzales now has a pattern of at least 2 women that work for him and using his position, his power, his money, whatever you want to call it, all of his resources, to go after women that work for him. He is a pig, and he is a liar, and he lied by omission for never admitting that he had an affair with the staffer that was the one who killed herself. And I don't care how crazy she was, he preyed on her. He is not the weak one. He is the powerful one. Tony Gonzales has lied to us for years. And I think that's all I wanted to say about Tony Gonzales. Oh, but no, there's more. He made a statement today. With facing anticipated expulsion vote that could occur as early as this week, Tony Gonzales released this statement when he was resigning. He officially tendered his resignation today, as did Swalwell. Here's what Tony Gonzales said publicly on his Twitter feed, his X feed. There is a season for everything, and God has a plan for us all. What? I agree with Lawrence Jones, who this morning on Fox News said, don't bring God into this. I would say don't bring God into this unless you're saying God wants me to repent and admit that I've sinned and turn to Him. That's not what this is. This is, oh, you know what? There's a season for everything. Oh, this is just a season. That was a season. And God has a plan for us all. When Congress returns tomorrow, Gonzales says, I will file my retirement from office. It's been my privilege to serve the great people of Texas. You haven't served us. You've used your position to violate our women. What a sick man and a liar. And I want to play this. Because KSAT, the television station I told you about, this is one of the most compelling pieces of audio that I'm going to play for you. And I'm going to play you. I don't have the video because it's on the TV station, but I have audio for you. This is like 3 months after the allegations came out about Tony Gonzales with the woman who self-immolated, who killed herself by lighting herself on fire to death, right? This is 3 months. Tony Gonzales refused to have a public event, refused to answer questions. KSAT was saying we called him like 20 times over 3 months, asking his office for an interview about this massive scandal. He hid. 3 months into the scandal, he finally shows up at a veterans event at Fort Sam Houston. And here's what he says. He makes it, the veterans. This better be about the veterans. You know what? I don't know if you can hear this on my feed. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Okay, forget it. All right. Anyways, it's him basically. The KSAT reporter comes up to him and he's walking out of his car with his staff and he's going to Fort Sam for a ceremony. And he says, "No, it's about the veterans. This better be about the veterans. Hey, any questions you have better be about the veterans." That's a man who's guilty of sin, who's hiding in his denial, and he's a liar. And here we have a second woman that worked for him that he did this for. What a sick bleep. making the image of a family man and a Christian and, 6 kids and a wife. Sick man. Sick man. Now, of course, by going back to Swalwell, by Swalwell getting out of the gubernatorial race in California, you now have the front runner. One of the front runners is Katie Porter. This is that crazed lunatic woman who is mean, nasty, and angry and mistreats her staff horribly, and who poured scalding hot mashed potatoes on her ex-husband's head. She tweeted this out today. I'm still the only candidate in this race who's neither a billionaire nor taking corporate PAC money. Our campaign is powered by tens of thousands of Californians. That's who the next governor should be focused on, not themselves. To which a red state writer who I follow says, on the other hand, you are the only one to pour scalding mashed potatoes on your ex-husband's head and berate a wounded warrior liaison for supposedly giving you COVID. She was also caught on tape and video, actually, that we all played, on the talk in media circuit about a month or two ago or so, where she was doing a video recording or a Zoom meeting, and she berated a staffer for walking in the background for a second, and it was very nasty. So anyways, there you go. I want to get into the Fort Worth Bishop is now going after Trump as well as the Pope, and then the Trump Christ meme, if you will, in just a second. Also, Arm-Aged Don says that is a tragic event as results of possession to sin, and the results of possession of sin. Talking about Tony Gonzales. Amen to that. Okay, before we get to the Catholic bishop and the Christ meme that Trump put out there, I want to tell you about IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems. Tomorrow's tax day, right? You need a fantastic tax planner and CPA like I have, and that's IRSprob.com. Almost 10 years, over 9 years, Randy's been my CPA. Randy Martin, local business, family-owned, family-run. I'm friends with everybody in the office, George and Roy. They're all great people. Love them very much. Give them big hugs whenever I go into the office. But if you have IRS problems, go to IRSprob.com. If you want a tax planner, you need one, go to IRSprob.com. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Or you can call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000. Randy was on a call with a client as recently as like an hour ago. We were texting back and forth. He was going to come on tonight the day before tax day. He's just too busy because he cares about his clients more than his own fame by coming on the podcast, which I support 110%. Also, I am really, you have no idea how giddy I'm like a little kid to tell you that Due West Foundation, which side is it on? The camera reverses everything. Due West Foundation and Plumbing, owned by Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement all over the state of Texas. Due West Foundation and Plumbing has done everything in my house for over 11 years. The plumbing, the foundation work, root shields to protect my foundation from roots going onto the house, grading my yard, my backyard, to have the water obviously go away from the house. They do concrete leveling, they do retention walls, and they do foundation and plumbing. And Jim always says this, you do not want your plumbing and foundation companies to be different because they'll each blame each other. And I just had a friend who had a bad situation over something like that just happened. So if you want the best, call Due West like I do. And I've been going around the house and showing you all the different projects they've done. The water heater, replacing 17-foot of pipe under my house, the root shields, telling me that, showing you the big, massive tree I have in my backyard that Jim's been telling me to get rid of because it's too close to my house. I didn't plant it there. So there you go. And by the way, my wife agrees with Jim. So if you want the best, call Due West, du-west.com. Use my plumber, use my foundation guy, du-west.com. Hey, my wife worked there for 3 years, by the way. They're wonderful people. We're good friends with the family and Mary, Jim's wife. Or call 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912. Okay? Catholic bishop. The Bishop of Fort Worth, Michael Olson, is now going after Trump. He says that Trump should apologize after the posts going back and forth with the Pope, to which I say, why? Why would he apologize for going back and forth with the Pope? The Pope attacked Trump, and Trump's allowed to respond, and the Pope's responding back. And now you come out here and stick your nose in this fourth Bishop Michael Olson? No. Well, Chris, you don't understand. The Pope can attack people, but people can't attack the Pope back. Really? You mean he's not big enough a man to handle it? Come on. Stupid. Estupido. Pope Leo fires back at Trump. This is the back and forth. I have no fear of the Trump administration, the Pope said. Of course you don't. What's he going to do to you, the Pope? He also says, blessed are the peacemakers. Trump is a peacemaker. He is making peace in Venezuela and the Caribbean, removing the training facilities for terrorist training facilities for Hamas and Hezbollah in Venezuela, removing the drone factories for Hamas and Hezbollah in Venezuela, kicking the Chinese out of Venezuela. He's now making peace in Cuba with getting the removal of the Fidel Castro and Raul Castro generational families that run Cuba to get him out of there. He's also bringing peace in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords and bringing peace in the Middle East because, hello, Pope, knock, knock on your thick skull. Iran is responsible for terrorism out of Iran. It's responsible for all the terrorism in Lebanon with Hezbollah. It's responsible for all the terrorism with Hamas in Gaza, or as the liberal white kids in the suburbs call it, Gaza, as if they live there and speak like they do, Gaza. And they're also responsible for all the violence from Yemen, from the Houthis. In fact, the Houthis were battling our Navy under Biden for kissing their butt, kissing the Iranian butt. What did we get? We got our Navy was at the highest level of combat since World War II from the Houthis. You want peace in the Middle East? You get the Iranian mullahs, the regime, the terrorists out. We'll get to that in a minute, though, because Trump has to finish the job, and he's not finished the job on that. Trump responded, Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. I love that. He's weak, all caps, on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He's right, too. I will continue to speak out loudly against war, says the Pope. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. You know, you don't have to deal with the repercussions of your pro-terrorist policies. Also, Trump said Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great Pope, not a politician. Well, the Pope is a politician. What else here? The Pope said, I will not shy away from announcing the message of the gospel, inviting all people, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, is Trump depicting himself as Christ in this picture?
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
That is not him as a doctor. That is him as Jesus. I am not going to lie to you. That is not the Pope as a doctor. That is the Pope as Jesus. It just is, and nobody believes otherwise. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't. It's a parody. It's a joke. I commune with my Lord and my God most every day. Typically, I try to time it so I don't, I carve out 30 minutes every morning. And a stupid meme doesn't offend me. A stupid meme doesn't get in between me and my love of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And somebody doing that, it's hysterical. I mean, I find nothing offensive about it. And I mean, people can tell me how I should be offended, but that's just not going to happen. I'm not offended by it at all. I think it's hysterical. And I think he's totally lying when he says it's me being a doctor. Hold on, let's go back to this. Yes, hold on. There he is. He's a doctor. Nobody believes that. Yes. Oh, he's a doctor. Okay. Here it is from the Wall Street Journal, and this is just total BS. This came out today. How an image depicting Trump as Christ sparked a backlash on the religious right. Everything they're quoting in this journal piece is all from Catholics. We are a little bit beside ourselves, said CEO of Catholics for Catholics. Catholic baptism of vice. Okay, here Rod Dreher, conservative writer who attended the Catholic baptism of J.D. Vance before he entered politics, went further, not saying Trump is the Antichrist. This is so stupid. But he's radiating the spirit of the Antichrist, no question. Total, I mean, quit this holier-than-thou BS. It's just over the top. Pastor Douglas Wilson, founder of the conservative Calvinist denomination, to which Secretary of War Pete Hegseth belongs, called the image blasphemous. It's not blasphemous. It's a freaking joke. I mean, I could lie and act offended. I'm not. Because I know the truth. And that's a joke. And it's hysterical. He deleted it, but doesn't bother me either way. It really doesn't. Nothing can change my faith and my belief and everything. Trump gives extraordinary defense of blasphemous Jesus image while holding 2 McDonald's bags outside of the Oval Office. It's so funny. Claiming he believed the AI-generated image showed him as a doctor. There has to be something better than saying I'm a doctor. It's so funny. Where's the stethoscope? You know what? He is impersonating a doctor.
Well,
he's impersonating the great physician, which is God and Jesus Christ, the great physician. Jesus is the great physician. He's impersonating the great physician, capital G, capital P. All right? Not offended, though. And then Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines said, seriously, why? I cannot understand why he'd post this. Is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? She said, either way, 2 things are true. A little humility would serve him well, and God shall not be mocked. God's not being mocked. I mean, you could say he's being mocked. I just don't find it offensive at all. Trump said he was dismissive of the idea that he listened to Riley Gaines' advice when he eventually decided to delete the controversial photo, so he did delete it. I didn't listen to Riley Gaines. I'm not a big fan of Riley, actually, which is funny because he had her at all of his rallies. So there you have it on that. I also have this for you. Let's see what I have here. Okay, this is the assault on journalist. What's her name? I can't think of it now. Savannah Hernandez. She was here in DFW a couple weeks ago when I was over at the Epic Mosque, East Plano Islamic Center, where they were going to have a public hearing for the Epic City they're still trying to build, which is horrible and must be stopped. But when I was there, and by the way, the Plano police contacted me about some incident, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It was the stupidest thing in the world. The Plano police put on my Facebook posts, I put, this show's on there, short videos I do, promoting when I'm going to be on the radio tomorrow or whatever, where I'm going to be on the radio the next day. And on a post saying I was going to be on the air in Phoenix, a public comment on that post was, hello, this is the Plano Police Department. I'm reaching out to you to talk about an incident that happened when you were there at the Epic Mosque. So what kind of an idiot puts a public post on something that has nothing to do with that? Instead, I said, I DM'd them, and I said, why don't you just DM me? They never replied back. And I did call the number they gave to me, and it was Plano Police. I talked to Ebteen Vaziri on this show, who ran for Congress in the 32nd District and was at Epic Mosque for a congressional debate or whatever. And he called out radical Islam and Sharia law, and they went nuts on him. Somebody had to be restrained. They were yelling at him when he said, the women here are treated like cattle. They're worth half of what a man's worth, which is true in Sharia. But anyway, Savannah Hernandez was there when I was there, and she interviewed me, and several of us that were there, and was featured in this 30-minute piece she put together for Turning Point USA, Frontline, their news magazine, whatever you want to call it. She was covering the other day in Minnesota the pro-illegal people and the radical left shock troops that the Democrats have on the ground to intimidate and stop the deportation processes. Anyways, she was assaulted, and it's horrible. It's very personal. And I understand why she, was breaking down when she was talking about it. on the air on Laura Ingram's show last night. Let me play it for you, though, because something else that's important. I worked in Madison, Wisconsin as a talk show host. I worked in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which is way up there, 90 miles east of Minneapolis, in the hinterlands, at a morning show on a big FM station there, years and years ago. And so I know exactly where this young lady's from. So this man assaults Savannah Hernandez, physically assaults her, shoves her from behind. A grown man, we're like 250 pounds. Savannah Hernandez is like 110 pounds if she's like 130 pounds max. And he shoves her to the ground. He also tells his daughter to assault her and to take this loud whistle and blow it right in her ear. It's unbelievable. Let's watch this video that I pulled of what went down. And this is also from the post I'm going to say. I'm going to read it to you here. Let me play it first. Here it is.
Yo, it's right. Yo, it's over. It's over. It's over.
And that's the man who violently assaulted her. He's 250 pounds. You're going to see a video in a moment of him being on Peppermint Patty's show on MS Now. And she's like, "You're so awesome. You're cuddly." Here he is, 250-pound man, violently shoving a tiny woman who is a journalist, not attacking anybody. Let's go back a second. Looks like she was punched in the face after that. Now, if you look at her, on the right there, Paige, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's the daughter of the man that shoved her and assaulted her, okay? This just came out tonight. Update: the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point, a.k.a. UW Stevens Point, has quietly taken sophomore soccer player Paige Ostrowsko off of its official women's soccer roster after her arrest for assaulting conservative journalist Savannah Hernandez. It remains unclear whether Ostrowsko, whatever her name is, will be permitted to continue playing for the Pointers. The university has not issued a formal statement as the investigation is still ongoing. She needs to pay. She violently assaulted somebody. She absolutely needs to pay. Now here's another video. Watch this.
Go right up.
Okay, now wait. I want to tell you something. This is what I thought it was. Okay, this video has been taken by a journalist, and she had the crowd noise and the yelling and the loud stuff in the background. She had it lowered and amplified the voices, and you can see their lips. It matches everything they say, and you could hear on the regular video without the crowd noise being dimmed. You can still hear he says this, but she isolated their voices, and he's telling his daughter to assault her and attack her, and then he comes out and says, "Don't touch my daughter," after he told his daughter to violently attack her. It was all set up. It's classic leftism where you create a crisis, a fake crisis. You assault her, and then you have your daughter assault her, then you assault her even worse. This is terrorism and an attack on the First Amendment, freedom of the press.
Go right up.
Where's microphone?
Where's the whistle? It's in the car. Just the whistle right in her fucking ear. Right in her ear.
Don't try to get his whistle right from Yep.
Whistle in her goddamn ear. People are doing it back here. Right in her fucking ear. Oh, I know it's hard. I'm just freezing. No, I'm watching my wife. I think my wife.
Yeah, your wife got the killer. I'm pulling her back. Please don't fucking deck her. She won because she did. She did the same thing Jake Lang did.
Right.
But it's TP USA, so I'm just gonna go to all the Fox News.
That's right. That's what my daughter said.
This is gonna be the most boring fucking video to watch ever, bro.
Blowing in her ear. Yeah, she's doing it in her ear.
Your daughter's about to throw hands.
Well, because the girl's trying to do shit to her. I told my daughter to go blow the whistle in her ear.
So it was a setup. Here's this guy getting his leg humped by Peppermint Patty on her MSNBC or MS Now show, and she's saying how awesome he is because she interviewed him a month or two before the assault happened. Watch this.
Chris now goes by the nickname Minnesota Angry Man, and he's using his newfound fame to encourage others to stand up for community, too. Ahead of nationwide strikes and protests tomorrow, we asked Chris if he had any words of wisdom to share, and here's what he had to say.
We need some peace and harmony in our state and across our country.
How's that peace and harmony when he shoves a tiny woman compared to him, shoves her? He wants peace and harmony.
We need some peace and harmony in our state and across our country. We've been dealing with enough tyranny. We're done with that. We need some peace, love, and harmony.
Yeah, so we're done with tyranny, which is why he's tyrannically attacking and violating this woman and beating her to stop her First Amendment right to the freedom of the press.
Please come out. Please show up. Get off that couch. If I can do it, you can do it. We can march. We can dance. We can sing. We can hug it out. We can swear at the sky.
From the couch to the streets, what a rallying cry there. Love to hear it.
So awesome. She loves him. Jen Psaki loves him. We love you. Hey, can I help you assault a woman too? They're shock troops. Also have this from journalist Savannah Hernandez, who was assaulted in that video. Insane update she tweeted today. Apparently, Chris Ostrowski, whatever the guy's name is also a Minneapolis fraudster, was convicted of defrauding the state unemployment program back in the early 2000s. So this is who Peppermint Patty has on her show and says how awesome he is. He's calling for peace. He's so wonderful. Crime Watch Minneapolis says only on Crime Watch, Birdcage Liners' latest fallen hero, soccer dad, anti-ICE protester Chris Ostrowski, who also assaulted Savannah Hernandez out at Whipple over the weekend. That's a federal building, Whipple, in Minneapolis, was convicted of defrauding the state unemployment program of nearly $7,000 in the early 2000s. There you go. And watch this from Savannah Hernandez as well, the woman who was assaulted. The journalist, she tweeted this out. Heartbreaking statements from Desiree Ostrushko, the estranged daughter of Chris and Diana Ostrushko. So this is another daughter who is against all this. This daughter is estranged, Desiree. She said, the violent couple who attacked me alongside with their daughter, Paige, she says. So it was Chris and Diana and their daughter, Paige, that violently attacked her, she says. She states, the estranged daughter states that she is Chris's second daughter, and she's seen and experienced enough firsthand to know the kind of actions they're capable of. This is honestly horrifying to read, says Savannah Hernandez. After how violent her father, mother, and sister acted publicly, I can't imagine what she's had to deal with privately. She goes on to say that she's chosen to distance herself from her family and that she does not agree or align with them at all. Don't worry, Peppermint Patty loves them and has them on her show. Athena Strand case. Sexual assault. DNA evidence. Not good. Remember the Wise County Sheriff, former Wise County Sheriff, where this all went down, where this man is on trial for, he admitted to killing little Athena Strand, 65 pounds, 7-year-old girl. He was working for FedEx, delivered her Barbie dolls that she asked for Christmas, and abducted her. Took her. We saw the horrifying picture of her in the back of his truck, which is right here, before he would kill her. A sick, brutal bleep. And remember the DA said, you're going to see what a 250-pound man can do to a 67-pound girl. Now they talk about today because they're in the day 6 of, it's trial day 6, but it's the 6th day today, but it's the punishment phase where they're going to look at putting him in the ground. They have to put him in the ground. Please pray that he gets put in the ground. Not out of vindictiveness, not out of recidivism to stop people from committing these crimes, but out of what's called justice, God's justice. It is not vindictive, it is soberly administered, and it's what's called for in this case. A forensic analyst testified during Tanner Horner's murder trial today, that male DNA was found on Athena Strand's rape kit. That's why the Wise County Sheriff said he saw evidence of a sexual assault. He's not the current Wise County Sheriff, the former, and he testified. A forensic expert told jurors that male DNA was found on both swabs from Athena's sexual assault kit. You're going to hear, too, that he was in a jailhouse conversation with his mother and said the reason why he didn't rape her is because he couldn't get it up because of his medication. This guy did it. Blood and semen were also detected on Horner's FedEx shirt. Semen was detected on Horner's hoodie, jeans, and underwear. It tested the fingernail clippings from Athena tested presumptively positive for blood. She couldn't determine the age of the DNA on Horner's clothing. That's probably why they didn't put sexual assault evidence into there, because they knew it, but they couldn't get the definitive proof. That's my guess. But they found his DNA in the rape kit. We know. The second alleged sexual assault victim, because there's 2 girls who said when he was 16 that he raped them. They testified. I didn't know if they would be able to allow this to be admissible in a court of law. In this case, they did, which is very powerful and very good to show this man is a rapist. And a woman, and a child, 16, you can't consent, is a child rapist. 2 women testified about the alleged sexual assaults. One testified about her saying, I felt like I had been put back in 16-year-old me's body when she heard about this case. I felt guilty for not coming forward. I felt shame for not speaking up sooner, legally speaking. I felt a lot of pain reliving those memories over and over again. I became conscious and came to Tanner Horner raping me. She described a second encounter. She did make a public accusation about this in 2018, 8 years ago. As someone who was underage, quote, she was not legally able to consent. Case closed on that. A digital forensics expert says this. They searched the murderer's cache, his browser cache, and he searched for Paradise Missing Girl and do FedEx truck cameras constantly record? They did. He covered it up with a shirt or a coat, but the audio came through and they played that for the jury to hear her getting murdered by this bleep. Choked. In fact, here's the medical examiner. She didn't just get choked by him. The medical examiner testified earlier yesterday that the child died from blunt force injuries, not from strangulation, blunt force injuries. This is a sick freaking monster. She suffered from blunt force injuries, smothering, and strangulation. A 6-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl, 67 pounds, 7-year-old girl. Her Barbie was just delivered by him, and he did this to her. Testified that she died from blunt force injuries, smothering, and strangulation. When asked by prosecutors if Athena suffered before she died, I think the obvious answer is yes. This from the Daily Mail. This is the conversation he had with his mom in jail, the killer. What did you do? Did she die on her own? No. Oh my God, Mom said. She says to her son, I hope you didn't do nothing weird to that little girl, meaning violate her sexually. He said he didn't. Okay, I didn't. I didn't think you did. I just know how you get. She says, what? I didn't think you did. I know how you get. In other words, I know you're a rapist. Well, actually, he says, with my medication, I barely even have a libido as it is. So the reason why he didn't rape her is because he couldn't get it up? Sorry to be graphic, but no, this guy raped her. We all know it. In another phone call that played out in court on Monday, Horner, again, the murderer, denied raping Athena to his grandmother. Are you remorseful, Tanner? She asked her grandson. How could I not be? I haven't been on my medication for the last few weeks, and I'm getting emotional. Here's where he is the total victim. In everything he says, he is the victim here. He's the one suffering here, even though he did all this. By January 2023, he decided to send Strand's heartbroken family a remorseful letter, saying he does not do well with changes or things that are unpredictable due to his Asperger's syndrome, an autism spectrum disorder who suffers may struggle to cope if they are off their usual daily routine. So here's his excuse. He's the victim in this too, you see. When I first started out as a driver at FedEx, I was given a singular route would not change for a while. After a bit, my employer started making random changes to my route, adding stuff from the other routes so they could make more money. See, you blame everybody but yourself. It's not your fault. Because your schedule was changed, you murdered a little girl. Makes sense. Not. I don't do well with change. I can have meltdowns when unexpected changes happen to my daily routine. Meltdowns as in killing a little girl? No. He said his frustration with driving routes that led him to have a suicidal episode before killing the 7-year-old. Writing, the only thing that stopped me was thinking of my son growing up without his father. I got put on medication a week later and I was back at work. I let my employers know I needed to keep a consistent routine, that I wouldn't have any issues, and I was ignored. See? Not his fault. He's a victim. When I returned, they did the opposite of what was good for someone like me. They put me on a different route every day. Victim. He then claimed his demands to FedEx went in one ear and out the other and says, in hindsight, I think they were trying to get me to quit, which in retrospect was kind of scammy. Again, he's the victim. So many people were affected by my breakdown, not just your family. See, there's other victims. Wait. So many people were affected by my breakdown, not just your family, but mine as well. See, I'm a victim. The bad guy is FedEx, not me. He says, you're never going to get to see your baby grow up. Now my son is not going to grow up, or is going to grow up without his father and protect her. Wow, your son protect her, all right. He claimed the girl was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, no one's at fault here except FedEx. Wrong place, wrong time. Another guy testified the day before this guy made a FedEx delivery in rural Wise County as well. And he had a daughter, like a 6 and 8-year-old, and they were out there playing when he got there, but he didn't see anything suspicious. You don't know what day, what things, or what somebody's going to do. And it's not a reason to be petrified and hide your kids, but it's a reason to be cautious and aware and vigilant. And talk to your children. Talk to your children. What do you do if somebody tries to grab you? Scream and kick them and run. Scream and run. Scream and run. Run, run, run. Kick, kick, kick. Scream, 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 scream. I'm sorry I allowed my mental state, the murderer says, I'm sorry I allowed my mental state to be unstable. I'm sorry I took your little angel away from you. She didn't deserve it. My son didn't deserve to lose his father. See, I am a victim in all this just like you. It's like Joe Biden telling the Gold Star families that he killed because of Abby Gate and his disastrous withdrawal, his spectacularly disastrous withdrawal, and saying, I'm a Gold Star parent too. No, you're not. Your son Bo died from the most common form of a brain cancer, blastoma, that there is. He didn't die from burn pits. He didn't die in the theater. He died because he got brain cancer, the most common kind. Joe Biden said, I'm a victim too. My son's a Gold Star. No, you killed these people, and your son was not a victim of the war. And you are not a Gold Star parent, you old senile man. I don't know if you saw, he pulled some guy out of the crowd today. He was at some speech. I can't believe people pay him to speak anywhere. He was at some place giving a speech, and he pulled some black guy out of the crowd and said, you look like Barack. I'm going to call you Barack. It's like some random black guy. That's Joe. That's the senile Joe. But Iran. This is the headline. And by the way, the naval blockade is good. It's working. And the Wall Street Journal says that they can be crushed. They're going to lose $463 million a day for each day of the blockade. They're going to lose $435 million in Iranian economic activity a day and force oil field shut-ins within 2 weeks. If they have to shut down the oil production facilities because they're going to have nowhere to put the oil, and so they're going to have to shut down production. If they shut down production, it is incredibly expensive and it damages the equipment. This is very good. This is grabbing them by their you-know-what sack and twisting it. Iran has been exporting some 1.5 million barrels of oil a day, no longer. Economic modeling shows that the war's current economic damage to Iran already exceeds 40% of its pre-war GDP. Good. Iran would have to shut in wells, which can cause severe damage and cost it billions of dollars in annual revenue. All good. The Revolutionary Guard, IRCG, siphons about half of their oil revenue. The banks, too, they're saying. How's that going to hold up? So that's good on the blockade. But here is something I wanted to read that I didn't like, and I'm going to comment on. And thank you, Marcos, for saying thank you for being a true journalist. Thank you very much, my friend. That means a lot to me. Coming from you, appreciate you. And we'll see you at the Wiley School Board meeting in 6 days on the 20th. All are welcome to come. 5:45 p.m. Wiley ISD School Board meeting, because they're not firing anybody, and the principal that everybody believes let in those professional Islamic proselytizers in has not been punished at all. And exactly right. We got them by the cojones, says Q-Town dude. We got them by the cojones. Los huevos. Los cojones, por favor. U.S. and Iran have all the ingredients of a deal, U.S. senior official says. And you know what my response is? It's right here. No. U.S. and Iran have all the ingredients of a deal. No. I don't want a deal with terrorist radical Islamists who lie and stall and have for 48 years. I do not want to deal with them. There is no deal they will ever keep unless it gives them more power and more wealth and more nuclear weapons. There is no deal Iran will ever keep. We have to finish the job. It sucks, but we started. We got to finish it. By the way, when I spent an hour yesterday with that retired CIA agent who took down the AQ-Khan Pakistani network that sold nuclear secrets and how to make a nuclear weapon and nuclear technology to enrich uranium to Iran and to Gaddafi. He took down AQ-Khan, that network. He was a rogue Pakistani scientist, nuclear scientist. He won the highest award from the CIA when he took him down. He was on last night, and he said, as far as the enriched uranium, 900 pounds, 60% enriched. By the way, people say you need 80, 85, or 90% enriched uranium to be weapons to be able to weapons grade. And he said that's not true. If it's 60%, you just need more of it to make a nuclear weapon. Absolutely, that is fine. So that's one thing. Number two, he says we cannot go in there and get it right now, because if we do, we're going to have a 10-mile cordoned off area, and you're going to have to go deep and down and find it and all sorts of stuff while we're being shot at and attacked. The only way we could possibly remove the enriched uranium, which we must and should, is to have the Iranian revolutionary, the mullahs thrown out. And then we can go in there after there's an overthrow. He agrees with me that we should do what we can to get weapons, whether it's through the Kurds or others, to the people there so they can overthrow their damn government, because that's what needs to happen. They are highly educated. 85% of them or so, or 80 to 90% of them, have no beef with Israel. They have no beef with the U.S. They're not radical Islamic terrorists. Oh, yeah, by the way, this came out today, too, from the Wall Street Journal. During talks in Pakistan over the weekend, the U.S. asked Iran to agree not to enrich uranium for 20 years. What are we doing saying we're asking you not to enrich for 20 years? They've been enriching. They didn't do anything on the JCPOA. And by the way, the joint that's the Obama joint protocol, blah, 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 that Obama signed. He literally agreed with me, the CIA agent, again, who's a nuclear weapons expert and also Iran expert, and stopping proliferation in that country. He agreed with me, though, that the JCPOA was a disaster. It enabled Iran to get weapons grade to make 900 pounds of enriched uranium for a bomb. That the idea for us, though, to say, oh, we're just going to ask you to not enrich for 20 years. They're going to freaking enrich anyways. There is no negotiation with them. It's bad. We cannot do a Delcy Rodriguez situation because it is not Venezuela. These are radical Islamist terrorists, period. Right now, and the CIA guy agreed with me on all this. This is accurate. We killed bin Laden. We killed Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number 2 in Al-Qaeda. The number 3 in Al-Qaeda, that's alive, is living in Iran. Osama bin Laden's son, the heir apparent, he lives in Iran. 9/11 reports that Iran provided safe passage for the 9/11 terrorists to kill us and documentation and passports. They are radical Islamists. We can't negotiate with them nor ask them to not enrich for 20 years. It's just stupid. It annoys me. We can't get out of it that way. It's very frustrating to me. I'm glad we attacked, but it's very frustrating to me. I'm watching your comments coming in. I appreciate you guys very much. Love that. Oh, now 287G. I've talked about this with you on and off for years and years and years. 287G is the program where ICE trains and gives software to sheriff's deputies or police departments. What I didn't know is that 287G comes in many forms. One of the forms, which Florida is using across the state, that we should be using across the state for our troopers and such. There's a 487G. One of the 287G programs is deputizing police officers to actually do ICE enforcement. When they're doing their job, pulling people over, patrolling, if they see or pull somebody over and they come in contact with somebody they believe is an illegal, they have the ICE training and the ICE software in their squad or whatever. So they are doing their jobs as a cop, and they're interfacing, and they see somebody that they find out you're an illegal, they arrest them right there and bring them in, and then they'll hand them off to ICE for pickup. That is insane, because the only 287G I've known about for years prior to this was where they provide software and training for people in the jail. And so as every person's booked in, whether they're white, black, green, or Hispanic, doesn't matter, every one of them goes through the ICE system, and they immediately get to find out if somebody's illegal or not. And if they are, they have them pending to be picked up by ICE from the jail. So Parker County is a great place to be. In North Texas, the Parker County Sheriff's Office is now doing an ICE 287G program where they're actually doing the task force model. Cops on the street, on the sheriff's office, sheriff's deputies patrolling, doing their job, showing up when there's calls, and whenever they do, when they run somebody's information, they're going to find out if they're illegal, and they're going to get them out. This is fantastic. It's beautiful. Why aren't all counties mandated to do this in Texas like Florida does? Florida mandated it statewide. Where is it, guys? Governor Abbott, where are you? Now, Parker County Sheriff says right now we have 28 illegals in jail right now with detainers on them. In rural Parker County, 28 illegals in jail right now. Just a typical day in the jail there. Broad immigration enforcement powers train the deputies, and they would be authorized to perform, including charging, arresting, detaining individuals they believe have violated immigration law, sometimes even without a warrant. Good. If they believe detainment is urgent. They plan to apply for a state grant of $100,000 that pays for it all. This is absolutely what every county should be doing. And Governor Abbott and the Republican legislature should push it so that it's mandatory, like Governor Ron DeSantis and the Republicans in Florida did. My hometown of Chicago, we saw the illegal there murdered Sheridan Gorman, the Loyola University first-year freshman from New York State. This just comes in today from Bill Malugin, Fox News. The House Judiciary Committee releases Border Patrol documents for the Venezuelan illegal charged with murdering Sheridan Gorman in Chicago, showing he made no asylum claim. And agents determined he was likely to abscond, but the Biden administration still released him so that he could kill one of us. He had no asylum claim. They knew he would abscond, but Biden said, let him in. I want him to kill Sheridan Gorman in Chicago. That sick bastard, and he's laughing, and at something today I told you about where he pulled up a black guy out of the crowd when he was speaking it and said, "Oh, you look like Barack." Why? Because he's black. Anyways, that's Joe Biden's racist problem there. And the House Judiciary GOP said Democrats knew this man was dangerous and had no legitimate asylum claim, but they still released him. Speaking of ICE, I am very pleased to say that Governor Abbott did something right on something. The mayor of Houston, I get to fill in Houston regularly for the monster station there, KTRH, and Houston Mayor John Whitmire. He voted for, along with the majority of city council members, to change policy when Houston police officers pull over somebody or interact with somebody that they believe is an illegal they hold them for up to 30 minutes and call ICE and say, you got 30 minutes to come pick this illegal up. Okay? Because the crazy leftist pro-illegal Houston City Council, the majority of them, are against this, they passed the repeal of that ordinance. They passed the repeal of the ordinance saying you got 30 minutes, and they make it so there's no time. You cannot hold an illegal for ICE. And as soon as that happened and went through, the governor sent a letter because of Senate Bill 4 saying, we are now pulling $110 million of your funding for safety. And they already got the $110 million, so the governor says, we're going to take it back from you ASAP. Give us our money back. Get your checkbook out. You're writing a $110,000 check because you're not cooperating with SB 4, which requires local governments and law enforcement agencies to comply with federal immigration detainer requests and imposes penalties, including removal from office and up to $25,000 fine per day and criminal charges for officials who knowingly fail to comply. Put that frickin' mayor and the city council members in jail. So today, Houston Mayor John Whitmire, guilty white liberal who voted for this, is now panicking and says we need to repeal that ordinance that we passed. And he says that they passed it on a 12-5 vote. But he said he voted in favor for it last week, saying it reflected existing HPD practices. This week, he shifted, speaking at a press conference about the 2026 FIFA World Cup coming there, FIFA. We've got to correct that policy, he says. There's only one option that matters, and that's the governor's. We can't survive in a city that does not have public safety funding to the tune of losing $110 million. Also, we got him by the cojones, as Q-Town Dude said, by the huevos. We crushed the huevos. So that was all from Texas Scorecard. They also say Houston loses state funding in response to Sanctuary City revival. Whitmire said this is a crisis situation. The potential loss of state funding, real challenges for the Houston police and fire departments will impact public safety services across our city. The 2026 FIFA World Cup preparations and the Homeland Security Department. Bring them to their knees. Let's see if I got a little more here. Was the Dallas North Tollway supposed to become free? WFAA did a piece on this because it's been making a lot of traction, making the rounds on that. Here we go. They predict the tollway will be paid off by the year 2005. This was in 1975. A reporter from WFAA reported, they predict, quote, they predict the tollway will be paid off by the year 2005. So 30 years from now, we can all look forward to a free ride on what will be the old North Dallas Tollway. No. Since that time, reports Channel 8, the DNT has become extended multiple times, and other toll roads such as Sam Rayburn Tollway, President George Bush Turnpike were added to the NTTA system. Current debt payoff is scheduled for 2048. We're screwed. We're screwed. Bend over. We're screwed. And that's only if no more projects are added, which, as we know, we're bursting at the seams, and we're going to continue to burst at the seam. Hey, Jimmy Kimmel, he endorsed and had Eric Swalwell on his show when he announced he was running for governor, and pretty much endorsed him. What did he say last night after all these women came out, and that he said he was pulling his his gubernatorial campaign? What did Jimmy Kimmel say last night? Nothing. It's not the right guy, so he didn't say anything about it. So he's covering up for that guy. Hey, I wanted to go to something actually that I missed on playing a little earlier. In Trump doing the Jesus meme, lying and saying it's a doctor, it's Jesus. Doesn't offend me, though. But here is The View talking about Jesus. If you want to find out how incredibly out of touch and bass-ackwards about who we are and about what our faith is and what our beliefs are, watch this from The View this morning. It's shocking.
Concerned by,
but Jesus
really
himself did not run around saying, I'm the Messiah, I'm the Messiah.
Jesus kind of did say he was the Messiah.
You're supposed to have a little bit of...
That's exactly what Jesus said. I am the Messiah.
You know what? No, he did not.
It's been a minute.
Here's the thing. The Pope's got it. He's got God behind.
Jesus said, I knew Jesus.
Jesus was not narcissistic like this guy.
But when you are the Messiah, it's not narcissism to say it.
Yes, it is.
When you are the Messiah.
I'm going to move this along because this is like, it's too much for me.
So this woman obviously never cracked a Bible, Joy Behar. I think she's Jewish, which is fine, but she doesn't even know what she's talking about. He said he was the Son of Man. He said he was the Son of God. He said he is the Messiah. I am he. And I think that the best way to put this is, who's the author of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? And, gosh, I can't remember his name now. I had it on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. You can chime in on the comments and tell me. C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis said that Jesus is one of the three L's: liar, lunatic, or Lord. Because he is and says he was the Messiah. And is. And he is. So Jesus either lied when he said he was the Messiah, or Jesus was a lunatic, and that's why he said he was the Messiah, or he is Lord, and he is Lord. So what a fundamental, gross misunderstanding of Jesus and Christianity, and that's who is telling you what to think every day on ABC News. That's ABC News, part of ABC News, believe it or not. Anyways, remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Not surprising, but still remarkable. This one more piece here. Rare Lustron home in North Dallas considered for historic landmark status. Now, I know what a Lustron home is because my old boss in Madison, Wisconsin, liberal, but he hired me because he saw my talent. We're very good friends. We had a lot of issues when we worked together, but we're very good friends. He's a massive supporter of mine, a wonderful, sweet guy who hates Trump and hates most of what I stand for, but it's good that we're friends, and I love the guy dearly. Anyways, he owns a Lustron home, and he has for like 30 or 40 years. Maybe even longer than that. I don't know. He's retired, so he's older than me. But by 15 years, maybe more. I don't know. But he and I was in his home a lot. And it is a Lustron home. You put it together like Legos, and it's metal, and it's unbelievable. So he still owns that home in Madison, and he also has a place he lives in Milwaukee most of the time, but he's got the house still. So here we go in Dallas, from the Dallas Express, a rare all-steel Lustron home built in 1949 in the Briarwood neighborhood of North Dallas is under consideration for city historic landmark status. One of only 3 such homes remaining in Texas. See, there's one in Madison because my old boss has it. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, prefabricated ranch-style home made entirely of enameled steel. That's exactly right. Its walls consist of distinctive 2x2 porcelain enameled steel tile panels that in maize yellow. The design was also available in surf blue, dove gray, and desert tan. It's a 1,021 square foot design, featured a roof resembling those of Lincoln log sets, aluminum framed windows for cross-flow ventilation, pocket-type sliding doors, built-in closets, shelves, and a china cabinet, a dressing table, and a kitchen cabinet. Isn't that amazing? It had a built-in Thor dishwasher, never heard of Thor, clothes washer, automatic water heater, a unique electric radiant heat furnace in the utility room. That's wild. It was erected on a reinforced concrete slab with all utilities, lighting, and plumbing fixtures pre-installed at the factory for quick on-site assembly. Wild. They were created to meet critical housing needs in the late 40s and early 50s. During World War II, the construction of the new homes was very limited. Before that, few were built during the Great Depression of 1930s. Wow. Here's the unique feature. They can be disassembled and reassembled at another location if the owner desires. This is hysterical. The Lustron Corporation, backed by a 1947 federal loan from the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, installed $12.5 million in equipment at its Columbus, Ohio factory. Homes were shipped by delivery truck and assembled by crews within 360 hours, with an initial goal of 45,000 units in the first year. By 1949 summer, they actually lagged only 27 homes a day, despite $34 million in federal loans. Wow. They filed for bankruptcy in 1950 after they moved to foreclose. The plant closed in 51, leaving 8,000 unfulfilled orders. Okay, so that my friend's house is probably worth a hell of a lot. Maybe I'll have him on. I think he'd be great to have on because he disagrees with me on everything. But maybe I'll have him on to talk about his Lustron home. He was there with me. I was at my first talk station during being program director and midday talk show host. That's when 9/11 happened. That was my first full-time talk show. And I sent him my tape, and he liked it. And he met me in St. Louis. I drove to St. Louis, which is 2 hours from where Jefferson City, Missouri is, my first station. And then he drove down from Madison, and he really liked me, and so he hired me. Lustron Homes. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. What a great night tonight with you guys. Have been great with your comments from several of you tonight, which I really appreciate. I have more. Wait. I have Ken Paxton. This is huge. Ken Paxton, who has my vote and always has, despite his moral failings, deep moral failings. I'm not electing him because to be my Sunday school teacher, as my pastor says. I'm electing him to be because of the policies. He's got the best policies for my faith and my views. Ken Paxton announcing that he will step down or he will concede if, what's his name, Cornyn wins. And now Dan Patrick hailed him for saying this and doing it publicly. Now everybody wants to know, Cornyn, will you... Excuse me, no, sorry. Ken Paxton said that he will endorse Cornyn if he loses. He will endorse him when the runoff happens if he loses. So he's publicly announcing now, Paxton is, if Cornyn wins in the runoff, I will endorse him. Now Dan Patrick is calling for the same thing. Will you endorse, and all of us are, will you endorse John Cornyn if you lose to Ken Paxton? Will you endorse him right after the race? He has said so many vile things about Ken Paxton and is totally unseemly and totally the antithesis of the image Cornyn has had for years. It is beclowning and embarrassing and ridiculous. So let's see if Cornyn can bring himself to say, this man who I'm violently, not violently, but personally horribly attacking, I will endorse him if I lose to him. Watch this.
Wins, I will support him running for Senate. I do not expect that he's going to win, and I expect to beat him, but I would absolutely support the Republican nominee over the Democrat.
So there you go. He will support Cornyn if he loses to Cornyn, which I agree with him. I don't expect him to lose. I'm excited about him winning and hope he wins handily. This show has been brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Call 214-214-3000 and tell him Chris Crock sent you to IRSprob.com. He is the bomb.